Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be creating several Easter themed DIYs, all in the color orange. This is another super easy DIY. I'm just taking some of these wood carrots from the Dollar Tree. They came in a pack of 8, and I am just hot gluing them together. I'm doing 3 of them. I did see Sandra from the Shoreman's Nest do this. I think she did about 6 of them with a bunny to make kind of a thick bunny, which was a really great idea because even with these, then you can get a much bulkier decorative item for $1.25 versus like if you bought them at even like Dollarama or like Walmart or something, it would be at least $3 or $4. And then I'm just painting out the carrot in an orange color. So I paint both of these in the orange. One, I just do a lighter coat. I was originally thinking that I might glue them together to make a really thick carrot, but then I decided I was going to use this lighter colored one for my next project. So to continue on with my current project, once the fully covered orange one dried, I added the top to it. So for the top, I just used some leftover jute rope. And what I did was I glued it on, and then I took little individual, like each individual one, and I just separated them. And I just did enough of pieces just so it covered the top and it looked kind of like an aged carrot. And then I went ahead and I aged the carrot by just lightly putting a little bit of black acrylic paint on it. And that's all there was to this one. So I ended up adding a little bit of distressing with some black acrylic paint, and here's what it came up to. So this video is a part of the Follow the Rainbow DIY collab / friend hop. So it's all of us ladies who are participating in this together. It is hosted by Leanie from Crafty Leanie. She is amazing. If you haven't checked out her channel, make sure you check it out. I will have all of the information linked below. She's hosting this for all of us. She's organized everything. She's one awesome lady. If you haven't been to her channel, she has all sorts of amazing DIYs. She does a live show every Saturday, so make sure you check that out, Saturday evenings. And she's just one fantastic lady. All of these creators actually are really, really talented, so make sure you check everyone out. I will have Leanie's linked in my video below, and then I'll have all of the creators linked as well. But the way this works is that you guys have to hop over to the next channel. So I will just have a link in the channel to the next video, and you have to hop on over there to check out the next video. And make sure you comment on all of us because there is a giveaway, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. This next DIY is a little bit more involved, but I was going to purchase some orange burlap. However, I could not find it anywhere except for on Amazon, but I found it kind of pricey. Even Michael's didn't have it. And unfortunately, we only have Michael's here and some of the dollar stores, and none of them had it. So I decided to make my own alcohol ink and dye just regular burlap. So I'm just eyeballing this. I'm putting just enough alcohol in to the paint so that it makes the paint a little bit smooth but not too liquidy. And then I am just mixing it all together, and I will just dip the burlap into it. The consistency of this was kind of like a thick, like maybe like a milkshake or like buttermilk or something like that. Basically, if you add too much alcohol, rubbing alcohol, it'll dilute it a little bit too much so the color won't be so rich. But if you add a touch less, so I would just kind of start going little by little, and like you have to really do a good job mixing it so you can kind of see that it's thick at the bottom. So I just keep on mixing it until I get that consistency that I'm looking for. So because this was messy, I went to we have like a little workshop and a sink in there. So I went in there, but the lighting is really bad, so I didn't record it. I just dipped the burlap into there and then I rinsed it off because when I dipped it, because it was so thick, when I dipped it, the little holes from the burlap got clogged with the paint. But then I rinsed it off and it just gave me that nice rich orange color that I was looking for. I did do a second batch where I diluted it a little bit more, but it didn't give me such a rich color, so the thicker paint is better. You could always just buy alcohol ink. I just didn't want to go to the store. Because I wanted strips, I just cut these into strips and that's what I dyed. So here's what the pieces look like all dyed. So you can see some are a little bit darker and better than others. The best colored ones are the ones that I was telling you that it had a little bit of the thicker mixture. And so all I'm doing is taking that carrot that I had glued together and painted earlier in the video, and I'm just wrapping it around in the burlap, and then I'll be adding some green twine up at the top. Really easy, super easy, and really cute looking DIY carrot. Now, the only thing I'm not liking is that this burlap is kind of poor quality. I'm assuming it is from the dollar store, so that is probably why it's just kind of falling apart as I cut, like as I'm using it and working with it, it kind of falls apart. So I haven't had that happen too much before. I've had it happen a little bit, but this seems to be quite a lot. It was a new roll, so maybe it was just a bad batch. So as you can see, I wrapped the burlap around and then I just went and I cut little strings and tie them together and hot glue them to the top. And then what I do is I like to always separate whether it's jute rope or twine, I like to separate the top. So it's really easy. If you take the top of your rope and you just kind of start pulling it apart, especially if you get like the right string, it pulls apart and then it looks like it's a lot more pieces than it is. And it just makes it a little bit easier than having to glue that many pieces, and then it looks like curly leaves. I'll show you what this looks like at the end, but for the next carrot, I am taking a piece of poster board. Now this is in between poster board and like Bristol board and poster board. It's a little bit softer than Bristol board, but a little bit harder than construction paper. So I do wind up kind of using a roll of paper towel cardboard in there as well, just to make it a bit harder. And I'm kind of making the shape of a carrot with this and just hot gluing it together. You could use white glue or Mod Podge. I just decided to use hot glue because I had it heated and I figured that would be the quickest. And I did the same thing. I wrapped the burlap around, covering mostly one side. I wasn't too concerned about covering the back of this. I did go with orange paper so that you wouldn't be able to see through it at the, in case I missed a spot, or in case the burlap was a little bit more see-through in one spot than was the other. And like I said, wasn't too concerned about doing all of the sides. I made sure just one side was really nice, like kind of the front and sides were really nice and the back was partially covered. And this was mostly because I was kind of running low on burlap and I still wanted to do a large carrot. If you had the burlap on hand, you could wrap it all around. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you want. I use these in tray decor, so it'll be facing back anyway, so you won't be able to see the back. And I did the same strategy where I attached the green string up at the top and then I took little bits well, sorry, I didn't do green string this time. I did jute rope, and then I separated it, so you'll see how that looks at the end. So here are both carrots all completed. For this DIY, what I did was I took some clothespins and I'm going to be making them into carrots. Now, I had made these when we went on our Disney cruise as a part of some sort of decor thing. I don't remember, but I participated in all of the fish extender groups and all of that stuff, so I think I was a part of something that I had made. I don't even remember anymore. But anyway, I made them like Mickey themed, but I wasn't using them for that now, so I took them apart and I hot glued them together so that they looked like they were in the shape of a carrot. So basically like flip them over. After I hot glued all of them together, I went ahead and I painted them out in this pumpkin orange acrylic paint. I painted almost the entire thing. I just left a little bit over on the top. So if you guys haven't been to my channel, my name is Vesna. This is my DIY channel. I actually have 3 channels altogether. I have a cooking channel and a home channel. On the cooking channel, fairly simple. I provide you guys with recipes that are usually family friendly, and on the home channel, I display all of these DIYs that I made. So I'll be having a home tour video this weekend coming out. It'll be a spring home tour video, and then I will be doing an Easter home tour video. So if that's the kind of stuff you like, make sure you subscribe to those 2 channels. On my DIY channel, again, straightforward, I do DIYs, home decor DIYs. I do some renovations that I do over on the home channel, but for the DIY, I do trash or treasure, thrift flips, furniture flips, dollar store flips, all sorts of home decor items on a budget that I like to display in my house. Sometimes they're very much holiday themed, and other times they're just DIYs that you can have as decor in your home. So if that's the kind of stuff you like, make sure you subscribe to my DIY channel. It would be great if you could subscribe to all 3 and watch all 3. Hopefully you could get inspired. So if you have not subscribed, please hit that big subscribe button. Let me know that you did by leaving me a comment. Hit that big like button and also hit the notification bell so that you can see when I post new videos. Thank you. Once they were painted, I went ahead and I had bought this green twine from the Dollar Tree, so I just hot glued the tip of it to the top of the clothespin, and then I wrapped it around so that it looked like it was the top of a carrot. That's what I did with the first one, and then what I did was I put a few pieces together so that it looked like it was, you know, the leaves of the carrot at the top hanging off. And then for the next ones, I wound up kind of doing it the reverse way. I did the strings first, and then I did the ribbon or the twine around. Either way works. I just found this way to be a little bit easier, especially because I was making a few of them. So I actually created these for a few of my DIYs in this video, so it kind of goes together with a few projects. So here's what they look like on their own. So I will be using the carrots in this DIY, and what I'm doing for this one is I'm taking a piece of burlap, I would say about 6 inches of it, and I'm cutting it down, and I'm going to make 2 pieces of it, maybe a little bit less than 6 inches, maybe like 4 inches. And I'm going to be hot gluing it together. You can make this as big or as small as you want. and I hot glue it, and then I flip the sack inside out. And like I said, I'm making a little sack in here. And this is what's going to hold my carrots. The reason I'm flipping it inside out is because it'll make it look seamless. And then I also cut down the sides so that I can have the one end kind of flopped inside. Originally, I was just going to write in carrots 5 cents on this, but I didn't like the way it looked on it, so then I wound up doing a little label for it, just using a piece of paper, and I'll show you how I did that. But before I show you that, I do go ahead and I stuff the little bag just with, I put a little bit of leftover jute twine and burlap and whatever, just little scrap pieces of that stuff in there, and then I flap over that top that I cut so that it covers it so you can't see, and then that's how my bag is stuffed. For the label, I'm just using a scrap piece of printer paper. Now, I did buy the recycled printer paper, so it's a little bit more yellow than white, which is great for this project. I'm painting it over in the warm white acrylic paint from the Dollar Tree. It's more like an ivory white, kind of like an antique white. And I'm just giving it a nice good coat of it, and then I'll let it dry. And then instead of cutting it, what I do is I just rip it off so the edges kind of look aged and frumpy. I do put my carrots in there, and then I'm just measuring out how big I need to rip it. So I just do that, and then I write in carrots 5 cents. I do it with a pencil first, and then I do it with a Sharpie, and I hot glue it to the little bag, and that's all there is to this one. So here's the bag all finished. Here I'm making another kind of picture frame. I found these little wood planks at Dollarama. They were only $1.25, so for a package of 4. And I also found these dowels, which were, I guess, a package of about 13, 14 in there. Those were a little bit more, but they're kind of like square dowels, which I thought was kind of neat. So I'm going to be using both, and I'm going to be making just like a little picture frame. So I'm using the thinner dowels, and I'm just measuring out to see how big I need to cut them, and I am using just a power saw to cut these. So I cut them to what I need them, and then I go ahead and just kind of look to plan it out to make sure that they'll fit nice around it, and I go ahead and I stain them. For the stain, I am using the Rust-Oleum glaze in Java as my stain. I love using this for my stain. Once I stain them, I set them off to the side and I go ahead to work on my plank. I'm just using some leftover white paint. I think it was white with like a touch of pink in there, but very, very pale, it was just like a drop of pink because it was on the brush. And I'm just painting out the plank in that color. It didn't really matter that it had that little tint of pink because I go over it in black anyway. So originally I wanted it to look kind of like barn boards. So what I did was I drew in these lines, and then I used my Sharpie, and that's where I made the mistake. It was too fake looking in my opinion, so I didn't like the way it looked. So I wound up trying to kind of tone it down with a little bit of brown. I still didn't like it, so I wound up painting it all in black. So I thought I was just going to distress it a little bit, but then I wound up just painting the whole thing in black to get rid of that Sharpie, and I actually like the way it looked this way better. So after I painted it in black, I went ahead and I used an X-Acto knife to cut lines down just 2 lines in the plank to make it look a little bit like barn board. And then I went and I painted over top of it with that warm white that I was using in my previous projects. And I sanded everything down a little bit, and I just really wanted it to look a little bit aged and dinged up and had all sorts of colors coming through. So once I got the colors that I was looking for, I let that dry, and then I went and I hot glued my frame on to the little plank, and then I added some carrots that I also purchased from the Dollar Tree and wrote carrots 5 cents, and that's all there is to this one. For this next DIY, I'm taking some of those carrots that I had made, and I am just cutting them in half. I have these little miter shears, and I'm also then just cutting them on an angle, so you can just turn it to have any angle that you want. And so I'm just cutting them on an angle to make them look a little bit like a carrot, and then I'm going to be using them in the next DIY that I make. So I just wind up putting a little bit more orange onto them for the parts that kind of got chipped. And then the little parts that I cut off, I also make mini carrots out of those. And I just glue the green tops to them as well. So I just take a piece of string, I tie it together, and then I hot glue it to the top. So I got these little pieces of wood. They're like little square dowels from Dollarama. And they came in a package, I believe, of about 15. But they were all different widths. So I'm taking the thinner widths and I am cutting, these are 2. I'm cutting 2 of them in half to make a frame. Once I have them cut, I've hot glued them together to make a little frame. I then just paint them with that leftover white paint that I used for that previous project, just to have the frame be a little bit white and a little bit distressed. I just distressed the frame a little bit using some black acrylic paint together with that warm white, just to give it a bit of an antique look. And then I hot glue the carrots to it, and that's all there is to this DIY. I attached 2 pieces of string horizontally to the back of the frame with some hot glue, but then decided that I don't like the way that looks, so I just attached them vertically. But unfortunately my camera stopped recording, so I don't have that on camera, but I'll show you what it looks like finished with the carrots then glued to that clothesline. So that's everything for these DIYs. I really hope you enjoy them. I'm really happy with the way they turned out. We each had to choose a color, and I got the color orange, so that's why there's such an orange theme and carrot theme in my DIYs. So every one of us has a different color, so that's really neat. And to get this giveaway, what you have to do is comment on every one of the videos in this hop. So you have to watch mine, then you have to link to the next video, you watch that creator's video, and then that creator will link you to the next, and so on and so forth. It's called the friend hop. You leave a comment on every one of our videos, and then we'll choose a winner. So you will have roughly 2 weeks to leave your comments and watch all of the videos. So we will be announcing the winner on March 27th. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and check out these other videos that I've recommended for you as well. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and stay safe, and don't forget to leave a comment.